I was the one everyone called when they needed money, rent, bills, emergencies. It was always me, and at first it made me feel important, like I actually mattered to my family. But over time, don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. I started noticing something that didn't sit right. No one called just to check on me. No one asked how I was doing unless there was something they needed. And even at family gatherings, I felt less like a son and more like a walking wallet. I kept ignoring it, convincing myself this is just what family does. Until one night my sister called me crying, begging for urgent help. And without thinking, I sent the money. The next day, I found out there was no emergency. She had used my money for a vacation. I just sat there staring at my phone, realizing for the first time that this wasn't love. It was use. And what they didn't know was I had already started making a plan. A week later, like clockwork, the calls started again. First my dad, saying he was short on rent, then my mom with her usual bills piled up story, and finally my brother, acting stressed, hinting he needed help without even saying it directly, like I was supposed to understand and send money without question. But this time, something inside me didn't move. I didn't feel that urgency, that pressure, that automatic guilt. I just stared at my phone and typed 2 words. I can't. At first, there was silence, long, uncomfortable silence, like they didn't even know how to process it. Then it came. Anger, confusion, entitlement. My dad called immediately, his voice sharp, almost offended. What do you mean you can't? He snapped, like I had broken some unspoken contract. My mom followed, softer tone, but same expectation. You always help. What's going on with you? My brother texted, don't start acting different now. I read everything slowly, calmly, almost like I was watching a scene instead of living it. For the first time, I didn't rush to fix it. I didn't explain myself. I didn't apologize. I just sat there, breathing, letting their words pile up without reacting. Then I finally replied, simple and clear, I'm not your ATM. That's when everything exploded. Accusations started flying. After everything we've done for you, you've changed. You're being selfish. The same people who never once asked if I was okay were now suddenly experts on what I owed them. I almost laughed at how predictable it was, how quickly love turned into pressure the moment the money stopped. But I didn't laugh. I stayed calm, too calm. And then I dropped the one thing I knew would cut through all their noise. I know about the vacation. Just like that, silence again. Heavy this time. Real. No one rushed to reply. No one denied it immediately. That pause told me everything I needed to know. When my sister finally responded, her message was weak, defensive, trying to twist it into something small, something harmless, but it didn't matter anymore. The illusion was already broken. I didn't argue. I didn't ask for explanations. I didn't even raise my voice. I just sent one more message. No more money, and no more access. That word, access, hit differently. My brother replied instantly, confused, almost nervous. What access? And that's when I knew they still didn't understand. They still thought this was just another emotional moment that would pass. Another time I cool down and go back to being their safety net. So I made it clear. Calm. Controlled. Final. I closed the joint account. This time, there was no silence. There was panic. Real panic. Calls started coming one after another. Messages flooding in, questions turning into demands. What did you do? You can't just do that. That's our money too. But their voices, their words, their pressure, it all felt distant, like noise I no longer belonged to. Because the truth was, I had already done it. Days before that conversation, I had walked into the bank, sat across from the manager, and quietly removed every connection they had to my finances, every shared account, every backup card, every silent permission they thought they had. I erased it, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of clarity. For the first time in my life, I saw everything exactly as it was. No excuses. No emotional filters. Just reality. And in that reality, I wasn't helping my family, I was enabling them. I wasn't loved, I was relied on. I wasn't respected, I was used. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. Their panic grew louder, more desperate, shifting from anger to negotiation, from blame to guilt, trying every angle to pull me back into the role I had finally stepped out of. But I didn't move. I didn't explain further. I didn't defend my decision, because this wasn't a discussion anymore. This was a boundary, a real one, the kind that doesn't shake when people push against it. And as I put my phone down, ignoring the constant buzzing, I realized something they hadn't yet understood. This wasn't just about money stopping. This was about control ending. This was about access being cut. This was about me finally choosing myself after years of choosing them. And the most powerful part, they still thought they could fix it. They still believed I would come back. But they had no idea. I didn't block them right away. I let the calls come in, one after another, their names lighting up my screen like nothing had changed, like I was still the same person who would drop everything and fix their problems. Messages followed, some apologizing, some blaming, some pretending nothing even happened, but I read them all without feeling that old pull in my chest. There was no urgency anymore, no guilt, no need to respond. Just a quiet kind of clarity I had never felt before. Days passed, and their tone shifted from anger to desperation, from control to confusion, like they couldn't understand why their usual tactics weren't working. But the truth was simple. I had finally stepped out of the role they built for me. I wasn't their backup plan anymore, wasn't their safety net, wasn't the person they could reach into whenever life got hard. For the first time, I chose silence over explanation, distance over drama. A few weeks later, I packed my things and moved without telling anyone, changed my number, and closed every door they once had access to, not out of revenge, not to hurt them, but to protect what little peace I had started to build. And in that silence, I realized something deeper than anger. Real strength isn't loud. It doesn't argue. It doesn't try to prove a point. It simply walks away and doesn't look back. They kept trying for a while, finding ways to reach me, sending messages through relatives, even showing up where they thought I might be, but every attempt only confirmed what I already knew. Their connection to me was never about me, it was about what I provided. And now that it was gone, so was their interest in understanding me. That's when it truly settled in. I hadn't lost my family that day. I had just stopped funding them. And there's a difference, because real family doesn't disappear when the money does. Real family doesn't turn love into obligation. So I didn't go back, didn't reopen any doors, didn't give second chances dressed up as guilt. I simply kept moving forward, building a life where I was more than a resource, more than a solution, more than an ATM. A life where I mattered even when I gave nothing at all. And in the end, I didn't feel anger toward them. I felt distance and, strangely, peace. Because some lessons don't come with closure, they come with clarity. And mine was this: